All right, we are here for the finals now of our Player of the Year. So one of these two players, Steve, who I'm watching from his point of view, against Cody-Rayce, who Mitch is looking at, taking a look at his hand. One of these guys is going to be Player of the Year, and well
Yeah,
deserved and
we're
well earned.
much like England, we're going to be crowning a new king in not too long.
Yeah, there you go. For, for
Yeah,
us, for us, for us,
but
it took a whole year to crown a new one, but
mhm.
their process was
Is
slightly
Johnny going to pass
faster.
the crown? We'll see.
Yeah, he had the chance to defend it like a champion should. So we saw Cody's deck last round, extremely impressive. Aggro deck, but with this very strong sub theme of equipments and some auras. Steve, as we saw during the pool review, does have a sacrifice deck. From his opening hand, he is splashing for Anointed Procession. So he's planning on making an army of different variety of tokens. So in his hand, we have a Sanitarium Skeleton, Kalane, Kuldotha Flame Fiend, the Anointed Procession, a Gold Vein pick, and a Swamp. So he's going to go with the Kalane
Well,
here.
a
Follow it up.
black-red deck that has removal might work well against a ton of equipment. You have a
Yeah,
lot of chump blockers if you go heavy on one creature. You also have the
I
equipment
mean,
if you go
this is a
heavy on
pretty
one
good
creature.
turn. This is a pretty good turn too, right? Get out a 1/2 and a 2/3.
Yeah. Of course, we have a low curve here.
So yeah, there's going
Um,
to be a lot of small
yep.
creatures sort of staring at each other, and in that case, if Cody's not able to get the damage through early and often, Steve has sack outlets. He has things like a land pad of Death's Vigil, which he just drew, which is that 1/3 that can sack things to drain life. So
And even
so
the
in,
beauty
in,
of
in a
that, you get to
matchup,
get in the way
yeah, in a matchup
first,
with
and
a
then
lot
so
of small little creatures hanging around, um, the sack deck does hold an advantage, I think.
Battle Assist is the draw. There's also Retriever Phoenix, which looks to be coming down right now. Or not. Yeah, Retriever
Yeah.
Phoenix. And Bruno is also in hand.
So let's see if he just goes for the mascot exhibition right away, or if he figures there's something else that he wants to use immediately. Yeah, he's just gonna flex here with his mascot exhibition, and just he's telling Steve, when I get those lands, get ready. But how much can you really prepare for 9 power from one card? So
So
he's
what are the
offering.
three
So he's
cards
offering
that
up the trade here, claim for one of his non-flyers. I assume this claim's gonna have value to Steve.
what are the three cards in hand?
So he has a Lampad of Death's Vigil, the Kadoltha Flame Fiend, which is a 6 drop. You can sack an artifact and split 4 damage, however you choose. And he has the Anointed Procession. He drawn a Forsworn Paladin, which could be a play here. So he did opt to trade the Kalane just to not take damage. All right, so he's gonna try and start his synergy here with yeah. So he's gonna make 2 treasures off of this. Uh,
Very nice.
Anointed Procession again is a card
Mm.
where every token that you make is doubled,
Well,
no
Cody
matter
agrees
what
that it
type.
was very nice.
Yeah, yeah. So
Now, if Cody wins, it's gonna be on the VOD. It's gonna look like Andrew won. I guess that's a win for Andrew.
yeah, yeah. The Anointed Procession, Parallel Lives, Divine Visitation sort of sphere was one of my weaknesses in Tinker's Cube. I always went for it, and it was usually wrong and not correct. But I usually fell into that trap happily because it's so much fun. The thing about Cube, which
Well,
I didn't mention earlier, but like a lot of time there's no right or wrong picks, right? Because all the cards are good and all the cards have use. So a lot of time it's you fall into preferences a lot of the time. Like what do I like to play? What play style do I want to do? Which in a normal draft you have to draft your seat. But in cube draft you sort of get to draft what you want to do more or less a lot of the time. And drafting the open seat is less important than in a normal draft.
it's like the place. It's either Bruno or Nettlesis. There's no other option here. He's just deciding what to do.
Yeah, so right now it's looking pretty even here. Cody looks to have like a bit more ways to push the damage through, and Steve's going for his value here. So Bruner can make your first equip free, right? Every turn.
So Nettle Cyst would I mean it doesn't do much at this point, but it could be equipped for free after.
Steve's got a Herald of Anguish, which is a 7 drop, but you could tap artifacts to lessen the cost.
Hmm.
Um, so let's see how he plays his
You,
turn here without more
you can
lands.
actually cast it if you get 2 treasures, right? Because you can cast the pick too. You can cast your 7
Yes,
drop.
yeah, yeah.
Tap
Let's
the pick
see.
for mana.
Let's see how he decides here. We see he's he's confined by the amount of mana he has, which is 3. Well, 4 with the treasure. Uh, so he's deciding if he wants to go for an attack, if he wants to be more defensive. Brunor is a scary card, but not with the like. There's no equipment in play, so I think he's just
Nettle
he's just gonna pass. He's gonna take two in the air and then hopefully hold off the ground here and hope to eventually
draws a mountain.
get this Herald played. So there's the Nettle
Uh,
Cyst. If he wants to equip it to the Phoenix, uh, he'll be able to for free.
okay, so
It will only give it
so
plus 1 though for the time being.
the surveil one is looking at the Igneous Inspiration, deciding whether to
That's
keep on top.
I think that's a keep because it gets rid of the sack
Yeah,
outlet or the treasure maker. Yeah, the Force One
one
Paladin
consideration.
actually the Force One Paladin activation actually um, he can use it here and get and be up a treasure. Interestingly enough, because because it costs 2 to activate, so I believe.
One
So he
consideration is seventh land is also something that he's looking
yeah
for.
so yeah
Probably
one aspect of Bruno, these cards have a lot of words, is that I believe that the equipped creatures get +2/+0 for each equipment on it, right?
that's true. I
Which is how
forgot about that
which is
bit.
how the Phoenix got up to all that power. So yeah, he is doing a little cute play here of cashing in 1 treasure to make 2. He's drawn an Elspeth here, which he can cast. So this is Elspeth's son's nemesis. So he is just really 3 color. We didn't track that when we were looking at his pool. It didn't look like he was going to be playing 3 colors, but he figured the Anointed Procession plus treasures would be yeah, he can make it work. So he does have an Elspeth here, but Elspeth does not really interact with the opponent. It pumps things, it makes 1/1s, and it gains life. So
Games life.
it doesn't
Yeah.
solve problems.
Yeah. This one flyer with Bruno and a single equipment is
Yeah,
making a big difference here.
yeah. And Bruno just saves you so much mana on equip, so you can move your equipment back and forth. So it costs 0 to equip the first time, and then you do have to pay the equip after. But you save so much mana that way. Right. So he's not gonna
Igneous goes
so he cannot cast
Ig
anything here. So he just has to pass.
Igneous
There's
goes face, so unless he sacks his creatures, isn't
Yeah, so he's gonna be more or less dead here, as it looks like.
and doesn't he have the 1 damage for 3 mana?
Yeah, this
Or
is
is that someone else?
yeah, it was unfortunate. He
Oh,
got
no, it's
stuck
good.
on mana, and Cody just found a way to push damage here with this Phoenix, dealing lots of damage. Yeah, so there's no way out of this because he can. I guess he could sack his whole board, but no, he'll still die.
Oh, he didn't want the 3.
Oh, okay, now he's yeah. All right. So Cody has pulled off a win here. Again,
Oh,
his deck is just using its mana all the time. With all the equipments, it means like once you run out of things to cast, you can move around the equipments. Uh, just just a really well rounded deck we see. Steve, his deck has a lot of potential. There's a lot of cool things that it's capable of, and we saw an inkling of that. But unfortunately, due to mana issues uh, and not interacting with the opponent, we didn't get to see everything his deck is capable of.
there are a lot of 2 drops in this list.
Yeah, same with Steve. He has his deck is mostly twos. He has a 3 drop, a 4 drop, a 5 drop, and then the Herald of Anguish, and everything else is 2 or 1 mana. So he has 4 cards in his deck that are less than that are 2 or less. If Lurrus was in this cube, he would have a Lurrus deck. Absolutely.
No changes, I think, as of yet, from what I'm seeing from Cody.
Yeah,
Once
he's
again, five
looking. I
packs.
think. Okay, he does have a few more cards that are above mana. We just didn't see them for a moment there. Uh,
Dwarvenhammer came out, and obviously something came in, but I didn't see what it
yeah,
was.
I think
But Dwarvenhammer
he was
came out.
searching based on certain parameters or colors. So there are there are about 11 cards that cost more than 1 or 2 mana, but that's still very low for this type of deck. So he's very low curve here. I don't really see much of that much in his sideboard that's gonna break through this, like what we
No,
saw in the first game.
drafting lands, making 60 cards, five
Yeah, the
packs.
thing about the
What's too much for
sacrifice
his
deck
first
is
life?
it's sort of sometimes what we call like a solitaire sort of thing. It's just sort of playing, just sort of doing its thing. But if the opponent is, casting equipment and making their things gigantic, it's gonna make it that much more difficult. And the removal, as we've seen in this cube, is not great. And it's hard to 2 for 1. So
Oh, waiting for
Steve's taking out a
Steve's
yeah.
sideboard.
So Steve's white splash is Doom Traveler, Elspeth, Anointed Procession, Vona, Butcher of Magan, and
Oh yeah,
Angel of Invention. So he's putting in a couple. He's putting in a 1/4 lifelink, a vampire, Indulging Patrician. He put in a Meteor Golem just to sort of like a catch-all, maybe blow up an equipment that's problematic, but he would have to get to that mana. So his deck is equipped to function on low land counts, but unfortunately, it was not able to function in that last game on just 3 lands.
Cody looking at 2 land hand with no white sources.
Okay, so he's
Sorry, it's 3 land, but one's colorless.
mulligan. So Steve has a bunch of the plays we saw last round with Lampad, Sanitary Skeleton, and Gutter Bones, all of which he drew last round. He also has a Perilous Mirror, 2 mana 1/1. It deals 2 damage to anything when it dies, and that's what he's got.
Cody furiously shaking around his Benalish Honor guard that
is
he
that
can't
is
play.
that the 2/2 for 2 white card?
Yeah,
Gets
I don't
plus
know
one
if you
plus 0 for
realized you couldn't
legends.
cast it,
Yeah.
but
Again,
this
that's a
is
card
already a
that
multi-six.
that's another head scratcher of how that card exactly ended up in this queue. Because playing a bunch of legends and having your 2/2 be like a 4/2 or 5/2 instead is not very good.
Oh,
All right,
there's
here's
a
the
draw.
points. So looks like we're gonna have a game here.
Yeah, he has an outnumber here as well as the Honor Guard. It's either that or Fable the Mirror Breaker, which looks
So
like a
honor
fun one.
guard. Is there anything he wants to outnumber here? So what Cody can do here is he could, with his Lampad of Death Vigil, he can sack things to get his Restless Bloodseeker going if he chooses to. Like he could choose to sacrifice his Perilous Mirror here, gain a life, kill the honor guard, on and on, etc. He's just gonna kill
Then
the
you gotta
gutter bones
remove.
here. Not an
You gotta remove the
extremely
crest.
efficient use. I mean, it's the best he could do with it, but that's not the thing you want to be killing.
So coming up, we have Fable the Mirror Breaker, a Retriever Phoenix, which could be played next turn, and Enthusiastic Study.
Okay, so Steve is basically empty-handed here. He has a Vona, which is a white card. Um,
Well, this can get. This isn't. This is
so if Cody can
really
put
doable.
a stop to this
I
to what
think
he
he
sees on
can,
the
is
other
what I was
side,
trying to say.
yeah, it sounded like he's equipped to fight against this, especially with
Yeah.
a lack of
No white
other
cards.
cards. Okay, Dragon's Rage Channeler.
Fable is pretty good
Yeah,
as a card on its
yeah,
own.
yeah. Like I was mentioning, it's part of that short list of cards that are probably a little too powerful for what this cube advertises itself as.
Yeah. So Surveil here looking at a braid. He's choosing whether to keep a braid or not.
Uh, the braid seems fine to me. See what he decides.
And resolves. He kept it
So,
on top.
all right. So, yeah, Cody. Again, if you could pull this game off, he will be our player of the year. Uh, if Steve wins, we obviously go to game three. But again, both these players have just proven themselves to be so consistently excellent, time and time again. Uh, there was a couple of those leagues where it looked like Cody-Rayce was essentially never going to lose a game. Almost, I think he got up to 25 wins in one of our leagues, which was a record.
Record. Yeah. So what did we see? We saw sacrifice of skeleton.
Yeah, he sacked the skeleton so he can make a blood here. He's playing a makeshift munitions, which can now deal. He can sack to deal one damage to any target, as opposed to the land pad, which just is a drain. Yeah, so Cody's been playing a lot of Magic in the last few days. He was away for a couple weeks, so he had to play all of his league matches, which we had a week to do. He had to play them in basically 2 days, so he was just back to back to back to back playing, and managed to pull off enough wins to just make it
Yeah.
into the top eight
Caused a
at the
little
very last
controversy.
minute. So
Caused a little controversy, but here we are. Retriever Phoenix in the graveyard and two learn cards in the hand between inspiration and enthusiastic study. So
okay, that looks to be enough to hopefully hold off Steve. Again, Steve's making do with the resources he has, but Cody's looking to go over the top and just try and make sure he doesn't die to these little sacrificing that's going on.
he was considering card types in graveyard because Surveil would grow the 1/1 after a braid.
All right, so he's going in for an attack here. Okay, so if
It,
he
it wouldn't.
braids, it'll make it a
It would.
three
It
three.
wouldn't.
Oh,
No,
it
it wouldn't.
wouldn't.
He was
Okay,
just checking if it would. He has a creature and
he's just gonna block the goblin here. Doesn't want any more treasure tokens showing up.
of course the sagas don't go in the graveyard like they normally do when they're done.
No, they come right back in play as we know. Okay, so he's gonna +3/+1 here, which is effectively gonna wipe out one of the creatures. Um, Steve can sacrifice. I believe the makeshift munitions allows him to sacrifice blood, so he can kill this goblin, but he will lose a creature in the process.
Not great. Lightning Spears the Surveil goes in the graveyard.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Retriever Phoenix with haste, asking if he wants it back. So there's an instant, an artifact, and a creature in the graveyard.
But if he brings back the
Benalis is still in the
phoenix,
graveyard. No,
okay,
Benalis
okay,
is
there's
still in
still
the
another
graveyard.
creature. Okay, makes sense. This is a real decision whether to get a 2/2 flying or a lesson. 2/2 flying seems pretty good here. Let's see if he decides to go for that, or
Yeah,
if he goes for his big flashy mythic. No, he's just getting his phoenix back. There's no flying
hopefully
in
don't
play. Even though that Bloodseeker appears like it might have flying based on the art, it does not.
doesn't. Was there a way to kill off the 2/2 with munitions?
He's just flipping
Oh,
his
it's better.
Bloodseeker instead.
Better if no instant. But there's an
So
braid here.
it becomes a 3/3 with the same text of make a blood if you gain life at the end of your turn, and you could pay 5 as he's doing here for a drain of 2. So, but
Turn.
okay.
But he wants to use a braid.
Looks like
He
Cody
didn't do
does
it yet.
not have interest in abrading this because he would have done it at any other point in this juncture.
Oh,
It's weird that he does it
that's
now.
bad.
He could have set a stop on main phase 2
Okay.
to make sure he didn't get the blood. Small thing, but
Get him in a misplay. Adeline on top is not castable because that treasure just got used.
yeah. Again, it's a small error, but
Oh, my bad. It's castable if you attack with the 2/2. So you don't get the
if
bonus
he
1/1.
if he attacks with the goblin, he'll make he'll make that
Yeah, you don't
treasure.
get the. You're missing out on 1/1,
Steve's just
but
sitting there
worse
with
comes
a
to
white card in hand and then 2 cards that can come back from the graveyard at some point. Right, so he's just sending this right at Steve's life total for lack of other things to do. Let's see what he goes. Let's see what he decides to do with the. Okay, so now I think he's just surveilling lands to the top in a lot of cases. Yes, this game's gonna end quickly, especially with the active mirror breaker here.
only game that Cody dropped so far was the top deck Danatha.
Yeah, well, we in round 1 he might have. I don't.
No, it was 2-0. I'm pretty
Okay,
sure. So
so yeah, Cody's kind of steaming through everyone here. Yeah, so Steve is making sure that his auto tapper does not betray him as it almost did.
Wandering Emperor, not a bad card.
Yeah, Wandering Emperor, again, one of those power level outliers in this cube. Um, Not sure why it's here, but it's here. Yeah, so with an active mirror breaker, this is going to be over pretty fast. He's just playing Wandering Emperor main phase here. Could be for a counter.
Waiting the Mirror Breaker, deciding what to target.
I'm assuming he's targeting the Dragon's Rage. Yeah.
Going through the motions here.
Yeah. Throw everything there. Can block the Goblin, and I don't know Steve Zeck off by heart, but I have a hard time imagining there's one card that can solve all of this at once. So we might be looking at
I mean, if all the
player of the
cards in
year right
Magic
now.
are in the pool.
Yeah, he's drawn a land here, which is not going to be good enough. He cannot cobble in enough play. Yeah, he can bring back his skeleton, play it, but that's about it. So we see Cody with his red-white deck take the player of the year. So big congratulations to him.
One of a kind tag. Chris,
Yeah,
get the tag ready.
yeah, absolute display of of high synergy, high power level. You combine those two, hard to beat, especially in this cube. So congratulations once again, Cody-Rayce, player of the year,
Yeah,
2021.
congratulations.
Yeah,
Congrats.
congrats, man. Way to go.